All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Yep, drop a line in the chat, come say hello. Want this to be interactive as possible. Hi, everyone. My name is Bryan Lim. I'm a product manager working on Jira Software Cloud at Atlassian. We also have Ivan Tong here with us today, another Jira Software Product Manager, who will help moderate this session. So post your questions, comments in the chat. Love to hear it. But before we jump in, I'd like to get started with some audience participation and do some warm-up questions here. So raise your hand if you are a Jira Cloud administrator. Ooh, and this is tricky because I cannot see the participant screen. Hold on, let me stop sharing here and just go to the participant screen. Where did it go? Don't be shy. Maybe non-cloud admins. Okay, I cannot get the participant panel to pop out, but we'll go on to the next one. Let me reshare my screen. Next question. Raise your hand if you're responsible for setting up or configuring Jira software projects. Or post in the chat, that works too. Give it a second. If anyone on the panel can help me see if there's any hand raises, and then type in the chat, that would be helpful. I can't see the participants. And lastly, raise your hand if you are using Jira Software team managed projects. Don't be shy. Any hands raised for that one? If not, totally okay. And hopefully you'll take away some goodness from this talk. Maybe everyone's just shy or suffering from a little bit of Zoom fatigue after attending this conference. But move on to the agenda then. Thanks again for showing up to my talk. Here's a quick rundown of what we'll be covering today. So we understand at Atlassian that every team is unique, and each and every team's best way of working needs to be molded to its unique circumstances. Today, we're here to talk about how we made it easier than ever to set up your team managed projects in Jira Software and discuss where we're headed next. And I want to save at least 10 to 15 minutes at the end for you to provide your feedback. So there'll be an opportunity for you to be invited on stage if you want to share your camera. Otherwise, you can unmute yourself on audio and ask a question, or just keep on using the chat and we'll get to your questions at the end. But that's what honestly I'm here for, is to listen to what you have to hear from this talk. So to set up this, to share where we're at currently with team managed projects in Jira Software, I have two personas to present to you to kind of talk through an example of how you would go about setting up a Jira Software team managed project. So persona number one is a Scrum Master. He works at Acme Inc., which is an online sales company and has about 350 employees. There's a software team embedded in the marketing department, delivering changes to their website. And this team works independently from other software development teams at the company. Brian, who's the Scrum Master, looks strikingly familiar to the presenter here, is an admin on the Acme Inc. Jira instance, and he's been using a mixture of spreadsheets and Jira to manage their planning and tracking of tasks. So we'll spend the first part of the demo talking through Brian's kind of journey on how he sets up a team managed project, because he wants to track the work for our new team. Next, we'll have persona number two, which is Emma. She's a software developer who was invited to Brian to join this new team managed project. And prior to that, she worked in company managed projects before, but has never tried team managed projects. So she joins the same project as Brian that he set up. But some time has passed, and now this project is living and breathing. So we're going to kind of go through a new persona to team managed projects. And now we'll jump into a demo. As you follow along with the demo, think about how your team designs their process and how they map it to Jira. I'm going to stop sharing really quick and share my Chrome. Cool. So we're in the project create screen here on a Jira Cloud instance. For the purposes of this demo, we're going to select Kanban. And because they're just kind of a new team being spun up. And as you can see here right away, we've made it really easy for you to choose a project that suits your team's needs. As we mentioned before, Brian's team has been given this project to create a new sales website. And he's been assigned a cross-functional team of product marketing, design, and engineering. As we also covered before, Brian's team works really independently, but from other teams at Acme Inc. So it seems like team managed projects is a great choice here, and he decides to choose that. Website, let's do marketing. Choose an access level and create the project. Oh. Live demo, fun. Cool. So the project's now created. There's a brand new team managed project. And Brian's now told that Emma will become the lead engineer on this project in a couple of weeks' time. So he's going to go ahead and invite Emma to the project. We'll make her an admin just because we want her to have control of how they design the teams work. Next, the development team's ramping up really fast. And so Brian decides to create a new role called developer, so he can accurately assign issues and give the developers the accurate permissions on this project. So to do that, he's going to go to project settings, into access, and manage roles. So here you can create a role and assign specific permissions, as I mentioned, developer, devs on the team. And for now, I mean, the teams are starting out, so we'll just give them all the access and kind of iterate as time goes on. But you can, from this screen, you can kind of grant certain permissions as well as kind of copy permissions to create a new role. But for purpose of this demo, in the interest of time, we'll also assign this to Emma, who's going to be the new developer. Great. So the role is created. Again, here, you kind of, from this screen, you have the opportunity to view the out-of-the-box roles that are already created in Jira for you. But we'll kind of skip over that and come back to why roles are important later. Next, Brian, of course, then wants to kind of map his team's process to Jira Software. And we made it easy from the board for you to navigate to the brand new workflow editor, which I'm really excited and proud to present today. It's a project that's near and dear to my heart. My team has been working really hard on this, just because we reimagined it from the ground up. I've seen some of the talks at JiraCon today, and hopefully you enjoy it as much as we do. The customer feedback has been awesome. Tell me if you think otherwise. But to go back to basics, a Jira workflow is a set of statuses and transitions that an issue moves through during its life cycle and typically represents a team's process. Statuses can fall into 3 different status categories. To-do statuses signify work that is not yet started, in progress for work in flight, and done for work that has been completed. So Brian wants to ensure all bugs are triaged by one of his developers. So we'd like to add statuses to accurately represent the bug triaging process. Let's now add our desired statuses. So in this example, Brian will create a new to-do status called open. Then a triage for when bugs are triaged in progress. An in review status when they're peer reviewed. And fixed when the bug is fixed. That is a done status category. I'll then quickly delete any unnecessary statuses. And that's great. That seems to reflect his bug triaging process here. Sorry, I forgot in progress here. Let's add that one back in. We do need that status. Right. So from there, once Bryan's finished adding his statuses, he saves his changes to the bug workflow. Well, we do that in team managed products. Oops, there is no bugs. Let's go back and add. Well, let's save this to task first, and then we'll add the bug issue type. Bugs. And we'll also add stories back in. Great. So from here, let's update this workflow and only save it for bugs. Okay, great. So now that we've created our workflow for bugs, we mentioned before that we wanted to make sure that any bug that has gone through the triaging process must be handled by a developer. So like what we want to do here is, we mentioned before also that statuses and transitions are really key to the workflow. So we can set up what's called a transition to manage when a status, or sort of when an issue moves from the open status to triage, that is only handled by developers. So let's name the transition triage. And we can add a rule here to save the team time of who can actually move that issue to triage. So we can go back to our developer role. And there we go. Hopefully that'll help Bryan save any unwanted bugs from transitioning from open to triage by anyone else on the team. And lastly, another quick tip and a fun rule is you can automatically assign issues to a certain person as they transition. So here I'm going to select the initial status and assign them to Emma so she knows kind of the incoming bugs that are coming in. Great. So we're going to update that workflow only for bugs. But we're not done. Like I think here, now that we set up our workflow, we know that we want to go through and kind of map those newly created statuses to the board. We're going to go here into board settings and map our newly created statuses to the board. So we're going to go into here, open, because it's a to-do status. We can also throw triage here, in review, and fixed. As you can see, I kind of use the default to do in progress done columns just to keep my board really simple off the bat. It's really a pro tip just to iterate with your team as you're going forward. And I rank the appropriate statuses at the top when they represent the team's workflow. As you can see, a bug can go through open, triage, in progress, and fixed. Great. So now we can kind of go back to the board and see, did our changes kind of reflect, and does it accurately represent our team's process? So let's create an issue using our handy dandy inline card create here. Let's say header is misspelled. That's a bug. Maybe there's a checkout button doesn't work. As you can see, my rules are automatically applied. The bug is assigned to Emma. And since Bryan is not in the developer role, he cannot transition to the triage status. It actually needs the developer. So great. What have we learned so far? Use your workflow to kind of map your team's process into Jira and iterate with your team as it goes forward. Like start simple. And then kind of check in with them during your team retros and make sure that it's really helping your team kind of move work forward. Be sure to check out our 5 available rules to help you and your team be more efficient. Next, Bryan kind of understands that the team will soon grow. And so he kind of had a chat with Emma before she started. And we agreed that we should switch our way of working from Kanban to Scrum, actually, just because we want to be more disciplined in our planning. And so in team managed projects, we made that super easy, not available formally in company managed projects to switch between Kanban and Scrum, but we wanted to be really flexible to individual teams' needs. And the way that you can do that in team managed projects is you can turn on your backlog and toggle on sprints. And boom, right there, you've switched your project from a Kanban to a Scrum project. In the end, like Emma also kind of expressed interest in adding more structure to the way the team plans work. So we're going to go ahead and toggle on reports as well as the estimation feature. Cool. So that does it for Bryan's journey here. Sorry, Dad, did I turn on sprints? Hold on, let's see. Features. No, sprints is already on. Okay, cool. I'm going to now stop sharing and kind of pause there. So 3 weeks have passed, and then I'm going to switch my browser to Firefox and pretend that now I am Emma. Let me refresh. Right, 1 second, it's coming through. Okay. Great. So now I'm Emma, as you can see, my little avatar there. So first of all, Emma, hold on, let me disable sprints really quick. And then we'll turn it back on. As we mentioned, we can switch back from Kanban to Scrum. And let's move those issues that we created back onto the board. Great. Hard refresh here. Uh-oh. Okie dokie. My issues aren't showing up on the board, but let's pretend there are those bugs that we created. So this is a bug. And bug 2. Okay, sorry. A little bit of lag here, live demo. But so Emma lands on the board for the first time. Again, like a couple of weeks has elapsed, and she notices right away that there are some issues in the to-do column and for her team to kind of pick up. So how does she prioritize based on this? It seems like there's already a couple tasks assigned to her. One thing that she can do really quickly and wants to view the work on the board, irrespective of how Bryan viewed the board, is to use this group by menu on the right here. And we've made it in team managed projects user-based. So we call this user-based swim lanes, where it'll have all the issues that Emma is assigned to in the first swim lane here. And that is user-specific rather than admin specific. So we hope that this will help small autonomous teams kind of view the way they work on the board the way they want to, irrespective of their other teammates. Next, to give users kind of context of the workflow on the board, again, Emma's a newcomer to this project. Bryan set it up. She kind of sees that these bugs seem to be really important, so she's going to pick one up. Header is misspelled, seems to be a pretty straightforward one, so she's going to go and transition that into the triage status. Yep, as you can see, that rule works because she's in the developer role, and she can easily transition that issue to the triage status. Next, after Emma finished triaging that bug, she reflects and realizes that it would be helpful to classify the priority of each bug to save time on triaging. In this example, let's say she checks in with her team and she agrees that each bug should be assigned a priority when they're created. So we'll add the priority field and make it required. So this is a new feature to team managed projects. We'll go into issue types for bugs, and we'll add the priority field here with a drag and drop and make this a required field. So no more schemes like it was in company managed projects. There's a little checkbox here, and there you go. Your field will now be required. Oops, I clicked out of that. Do that again. Required. Perfect. We'll save changes. And then we'll go back to our board and start creating issues. Let's go back to this view for bugs. Mute bug. And as you can see, it forces you to then assign a priority right off the bat. And we'll say this is a really important bug because the colors are off on home screen. Great. There we go. And the issue is created. So now Emma noticed that a new bug came in. Yeah, easy to assign a priority there. But she wants to kind of then assign priorities to the previous bugs as the team enters in their next sprint planning. And we've made it really easy to do that in team managed projects with inline issue actions here. So if you go to the backlog, you can then assign the priority inline in context. And Emma's really happy about this because it just saves her time from opening each and every issue to assign a priority. You can also then assign story points, for example, as you can see here, and also change the assignee. So great. Hopefully Emma's feeling really confident and efficient that she can kind of move around, visualize and track her team's work. Next, she kind of then wants to break down the work a little bit more. And so what she's going to do is enable the Epic panel and start planning work at a higher level and assigning issues to that. So here you can toggle it on from the backlog in context and create epics. So for example, build checkout page might be a good first milestone. And we can assign the checkout button bug to that epic and maybe internal dog fooding would be another milestone there. So great. Maybe we'll assign it to this one and this one here. Cool. As you can see, super easy to do. You can see the progress of your epic from the epic panel directly. Next, in order to help groom the backlog, Emma kind of wants to make sure that her team is picking up the highest priority bugs. So what she can do now is a new feature that we rolled out in the last month or so is set up a custom filter to help her filter the backlog on highest priority items. So to do that, she can go into the issue types screen here. Sorry, not issue types. The board, under the board settings, and it's under custom filters, and say highest priority bugs. And you can use JQL here directly to kind of filter for whatever you want and visualize the way you the work that you want. So we're going to do our issue type equals bug. And priority. Nice. Great. So we can go back to our backlog and sort by the highest priority bugs. Awesome. Looks like there's one there. Colors are off on the home screen. Works. Great. So now Emma kind of notices her team's growing and she wants to then kind of separate the tasks of front end and back end tasks. And because those teams are kind of operating on different cycles, sometimes front end tasks take a lot sooner and maybe they want to have their own separate planning sessions just because our meetings are getting too big. So one thing she can do is go back and enable sprints. And now she can run parallel sprints in team managed projects. Going back here. Here's, let's call this the backend sprint 1. And we can create another sprint. Great. So we'll put this in the front end sprint. Checkout button doesn't work, could be in the front end as well. And we'll assign this task to backend. Maybe this one over here and this one over here. Awesome. And to do that in team managed products, we hope we've made it a lot simpler. So Emma noticed she can start this first sprint. Let's go, let it go for 2 weeks. back to the backlog. And maybe then the front end team would gather for their sprint planning session, and you can start it directly from this button right here. No need to go into your system admin settings anymore. And now that you can start your next sprint from this toggle, say maybe they met on the next week. Great. And on your board, as you can see, so we can toggle between all sprints and maybe one of them if you want. So hopefully we've made this easier for you to kind of visualize and track your work if you have kind of multiple teams working on the same backlog, as Emma can now see the different progress that is being made in each of the sprints. Lastly, she has to kind of then communicate up to stakeholders and her team on like where they're going. So she can then use the roadmap view to see where each of her sprints are placed on the timeline. Here, we don't have a lot of sprints created, but for the intents and purposes, it's going to show up here. So you can see your sprints on the top here, as well as your epic progress, and you can set the due dates of the epics to kind of show how that aligns with your multiple sprints, if you can imagine kind of planning out for several sprints after this. And lastly, while they're in the sprint, some of the coolest things that we've been working on here is kind of surfacing insights and context. So you can pop open this insights panel on the backlog or the board, and it kind of shows you some real-time data on how your team is progressing on the sprint. We don't have a sprint in progress here, so it's blanks. But go and try it out and kind of give us your feedback. You can use this give feedback button or kind of contact us directly here. So cool. That does it for what we've shipped so far for team managed products. Hopefully, you can see kind of the ease of use that we're really proud of to allow users, especially landing in Jira for the first time, to kind of set up and kind of just hit the ground running without any heavy duty admin support. So I'll switch back to my slides now. So shifting gears, I'm now excited to give you a sneak peek of what's coming next for Jira Software. Please follow our public roadmap for all the official updates, but I wanted to give kind of you some early access and some quick demos and screenshots of what we're thinking of shipping next for team managed projects and Jira Software as a whole. So first of all, again, please don't share this one widely, as we're really working hard on official comms as we speak. But I wanted to give you a special sneak peek and share that dark mode is coming to Jira. We know that this is one of the highest voted and longest running Jira.Atlassian.com tickets open. And we hope that this will help with accessibility and just people working long hours in Jira. Like I'm really excited for dark mode, but here's a sneak peek of what's to come. So you can see it'll be on all the main screens, your board, backlog, roadmap, reports. Great. So super exciting. Hopefully you guys are excited as I am. But again, please don't share this widely. And I trust that you'll keep this between us until we release official comms soon. Next, one of the things we know is the key actions for Jira users is creating issues. And we've heard the feedback that our users oftentimes want to view key data from their project, for example, from the board and backlog, while creating issues or key information. And so to do that, we're aiming to create a new interaction pattern that allows users to change the size and minimize the issue crate, as you can see in the bottom right there, to make it possible for users to create issues with all the information you need at hand, as well as kind of save you from keeping the need from opening multiple tabs to get the job done. And finally, the last one I wanted to share with you is we mentioned the Insights panel really quickly at the end of our demo, but Insights for Attention for Kanban boards. So Kanban teams now will kind of have a view of their kind of stuck issues, if you will. And that is defined by issues that are taking longer than normal to progress out of their current board status into the done state. We're also trying to look forward to showing you the length of time that an issue has been blocked or flagged. And hopefully that'll help teams understand where their bottlenecks are and where they should focus their efforts. Great. So hope you enjoyed learning about all the cool stuff we built for Jira Software Team Managed Projects to help you and your team track and plan your work. Now I'd like to turn it over to you, the audience, and hear your thoughts. So if you can raise your hand, like feel free to raise your hand and then we'll invite you up to the stage if you want to share your video. Otherwise, I don't see any questions in the chat, but feel free to leave questions, comments in the chat, whichever one floats your boat. Oops. Thanks for the feedback. Any kind of thoughts, feels? Have you tried team managed projects? What is holding you back? Thanks for the positive comments, guys.
Doesn't seem like there's any questions from the chat, but I'm curious to know, as both me and Bryan are on Jira Software working on team managed projects, is your companies all using team managed projects, everyone, or it's like a mixture of team and company managed? I'm just curious to know.
Don't be
You can
shy.
post the answer in the chat, like for those people.
Will we be able to see SSO for customers in JSM? I don't know that question off the top of my head, as we're kind of really focused on the software side, but I can check with the JSM representatives. Ashwani, if you want to ping me after this, we can follow up with the right person.
Yeah, we do have a question from Shams. Oh wait, so Shamsudan replied to my question. People are yet to adopt team managed projects. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Shamsudan, what do you think is holding people back from adopting team managed projects? Jira be used in the manufacturing industry? Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's the short answer is yes. I mean, I think the craziest thing when I joined Jira Software as a PM, when I first started, is I've heard of a bakery using Jira Software kind of to manage their orders. And I think that honestly, like, we believe that Jira is that Swiss Army knife. It really can really adapt to any type of process or business process. One of our customers definitely is in the manufacturing industry. I can't think of, so one example and one champion that's come up recently is Rivian. So they're the car makers, and they use it to kind of manage their fleet as well as kind of testing of their cars. And so definitely. Any other questions, comments? I'd also be really curious thanks for the positive feedback of like being able to see the future, like what kind of stands out to you the most of kind of what I showed you today. What are you excited for? Okay, that data center is going to face the same as server back then. Yeah, Shwani, that's a great one. So the question is, we're afraid that data center is going to face the same as server did back there. Could you please assure us about this? So yes, server will be end of life in the next couple of years or so. But I think rest assured that we've seen kind of teams go to data center or go to the cloud. And I think data center will definitely be here to stay for a while, just because there's going to be those teams that just need to self-host their data. And we're going to probably keep data center for a while. Hopefully that answers the question. If it doesn't, please reach out and I can definitely connect you to those folks as well. Like, we're really kind of focused on building the product features, but we kind of have a separate team managing that enterprise migrations. And I know that's definitely one of the big hot topics now. Any other remaining questions? Cool. If not, I think, yep. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of cool stuff coming to cloud, and I think that like we are investing a lot in cloud. I can tell you that. Like, the writing's on the wall. You can look at the public roadmaps, but data center probably won't go away anytime soon, just because like we know that's a really core need for some of our customers, whether it be on the compliance side or things like that. So yeah, it probably won't go away anytime soon. Cool. If not, feel free to drop in any last remaining questions, but I left my LinkedIn here, so you can find me, Bryan Lim, on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/limbryan. I'm also like @limlam8 on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Connect with me any way you want, and kind of follow up with questions. Otherwise, thanks for attending today. Hopefully you took away some cool, neat new things that are coming to Jira Software. And I wish you a great rest of the conference. There's a couple of talks here listed that you can attend after mine. All right. Thanks, everyone. Stop sharing.